Teaching and learning strategies. The important thing to remember when considering teaching and learning styles is that it is not just about coaching, it is about client-centered learning. On a Part 3 test, an examiner's judgment should be about whether the ADI can help the pupil to learn in an active way. Also, remember instruction based around the core competences used currently is pretty good. We must not throw this away. Coaching is a powerful extension of the range of options. It is not an automatic replacement for any of the existing ones, such as the core competences. However, there will be many times when it is useful to use a coaching technique. The principles that underpin coaching is that an engaged pupil is likely to achieve a higher level of understanding and that self-directed solutions will seem far more relevant to the pupil. This applies in every situation, including instruction. Direct instruction is useful in helping a pupil in the early stages cope with new situations, or supporting a pupil who is clearly struggling in a certain situation. Good coaching will use the correct technique at the correct time, matching the pupil's needs. In some cases, the ADI may need to give direct instruction through a particularly difficult situation. That instruction forms part of a coaching process if the ADI then encourages the pupil to analyse the problem and take responsibility for their learning. A good ADI will take every opportunity to reinforce learning. Was the teaching style suited to the pupil's learning style and current ability? The ADI should take into account all that they understand about the pupil. They should recognise that different pupils have different preferred approaches to learning, although these may only emerge fully over a number of lessons. Some pupils may be very willing to learn actively, and others may want opportunities to reflect before they make the next step in their learning. The ADI should at least be able to give evidence of their sensitivity to these issues. In a one-off session such as Part 3 tests, this will probably be demonstrated by offering a range of options. The ADI should be able to adjust their approach if evidence emerges of a different preferred learning style. Remember, it is impossible to force learning on a pupil. Progress is always determined by what the pupil is comfortable with. The skill is recognizing when the pupil stops learning. The pace of the session should be set by the pupil. On the other hand, a pupil should not be talked out of experimenting, but only if this is within safe bounds. When coaching, the ADI should ensure that the tools used are suitable. If a question and answer technique is used, this should match the pupil's level of ability and encourage them to use a higher level of thinking to give a response. Asking closed questions of a pupil who is demonstrating a high level of ability, unless this is to check knowledge, is of little use. Asking open questions to a pupil of limited ability who is finding it difficult to achieve the task they have set themselves may be very confusing. These are not hard and fast rules. The effectiveness of any question has to be assessed given the circumstances at the time. Indications that all elements of competence are in place could include actively working to understand how they can best support the pupil's learning process. It is important to say that the pupil may not achieve a full understanding in the session. It is the attempt that demonstrates competence. Modifying a teaching style when or if they realise there is a need to do so. Providing correct technical information through a demonstration, instruction or information. Giving technically incorrect instruction or information is an automatic fail if that input might lead to a safety critical situation. Using practical examples and other similar tools to provide different ways of looking at a particular subject. Linking learning in theory to learning in practice. Encouraging and helping the pupil to take ownership of their learning process. Responding to faults in a timely manner. Providing enough uninterrupted time to practice new skills. Providing the pupil with clear guidance about how they might practice outside the session. Indications of a lack of competence could include adopting a teaching style clearly at odds with the pupil's learning style, failing to check with the pupil whether the approach they are taking is acceptable, failing to explore other ways of addressing a particular learning point, concentrating on delivering teaching tools rather than looking for the learning outcomes, ignoring safety issues.